lied to us. You've made a grave mistake.
Beware my power. Green Lantern's light!
You like fish, I like fish too. Maybe we should get a bite sometime and talk about it.
Oh my word! What is going on?
You fucking idiot.
Could you be dumber?
We are men looking for a man!
All part of the plan, yes?
No.
Hey everyone, and welcome to 2011 Movie Madness, a week-long event of movie reviews counting down to the review of Transformers 3: Dark of the Moon. So let's keep things moving along with the next film in line, Pirates of the Caribbean on Stranger Tides, starring Johnny Depp, Jeffrey Rush, and Penelope Cruz. I, for one, have always been a fan of the Pirates films, despite their convoluted mess of a story, with the first one being my favorite. And yes, this franchise tends to be convoluted since it suffers from too much shit going on at the same time disease. Well, the sequels did anyways, but I digress. So, with the first 3 films done, Disney looks forward to milking this franchise for what it's worth, and it truly shows with this film. Now, that's not to say that this is a bad film, because it isn't by no sense of the word, but at the same time it is very clear that this entry in the franchise was given the least amount of attention and effort among all the films. This one just seems to not have the great sense of adventure and grandeur that the other films had. It just felt so copy and paste, like the objective was to scrape by with the most minimum work required to make a barely solid film. Let's get through the key points, starting with the 3D. Like every film, the 3D is simply garbage. Select scenes use it, and even when used, it's not done in a creative way, so paying to see this in 3D is only throwing fuel to the problem with 3D films that needs to be properly addressed. In short, only see this movie in 2D. With that out of the way, we move on to our main lead of interest, which is the always charismatic Johnny Depp, playing everyone's favorite drunken pirate, Jack Sparrow. As always, Depp's performance is great, as he has created and mastered this character we've come to know and love. Old players to this series also return, like Jeffrey Rush, who is excellent in anything he does, which also includes this film, but everyone else just sort of fails in comparison to these two. Penelope Cruz is pointless in this film, had little to no reason for being in it, and there was simply no chemistry between her and Johnny Depp. Yes, I'm aware that she is a past lover of interest to Jack Sparrow and wishes to find the Fountain of Youth to save her father, but every attempt to create effort and drama on her part simply falls flat. Her actions just feel so void of emotion, and you know so little about her, and when you don't know enough about a character, it becomes hard to invest in them and their actions. Oh, and no, a basic thread of a backstory doesn't count as knowing a character. Ian McShane is also a letdown as Blackbeard the pirate. He too has a backstory that is barely explained, and is really not very interesting or evil, which is a big no-no. I mean, what makes him so evil? He uses his ship to toss around a few guys and shot at some folks and took Barbossa's leg? Yeah, I suppose those are villainous things, but in a world of pirates you have to do more to stand out as a true villain and a threat. And when compared to the array of villains from the last films, he is by far the weakest by doing the least and putting the least amount of effort in seeing evil, which results in a poor antagonist. The story, unlike the last 2 films, is pretty simple and straightforward, but is done in somewhat of a lazy manner, if not a little too direct if you ask me. Pacing is also somewhat a mess. Despite the convoluted stories of the last 2 films, the one thing they had down pat was the pacing. You never felt bored watching the Pirates films, but this one painfully drags on for the first latter half of the film. We are introduced to Jack Sparrow, who is captured once again by British royalty, that result in one of the most cheesy and over-the-top performances I've seen in quite some time. The rest painfully and slowly drags on to the point of the mermaid's introduction, which picked up the pace and brought back a sense of adventure introduced by Gore Verbinski in the first Pirates film. I mean, hot damn, I never pictured mermaids being so creepy and such a threat. Things quickly slow down and pick up, but the pace of the film never stays consistent. Throughout the rest of the film, we get a pointless romance between a priest and a captured mermaid that is never really developed, and you could honestly care less for it. It's almost as if they were trying to replace a love interest from the prior films. On another note, there is never really a reason for Jack Sparrow to want to get water from the Fountain of Youth. Yes, when he gets to its location it is by force, but he had the desire to get there in the first place anyways, which was never really given an explanation. But despite all this, the movie is not a loss. Locations are great and exotic as always, and the film does have its humorous moments. Cinematography and CGI are the film's strongest points, like always, and most of the film's presentation is solid and standard fare. I guess that the real issue here is that this entry is just not as epic as the rest. I mean, I actually almost dozed off during the first 30 minutes because it was so slow and dull, and some people in the theater were actually sleeping, and I sat through all of Grindhouse, which is way longer than this film. Is this film a total loss? No. It has its fun moments and does pick up, but it's not as grand as the others, so keep that in mind when seeing this, and you should have a good time. Pirates of the Caribbean on Stranger Tides gets a 7 out of 10.
Do not